I was given the task to build a gaming PC for $800. So today we're going to be building a gaming PC for $800. And what I'm using is an AMD Ryzen. This is a A320 motherboard, $60. The Wrath Stealth cooler, $15. A 256GB NVMe SSD for $35, brand new. A Ryzen 5 3600 CPU. I got this used for $100. 2 of RAM. This is 16GB. This was $40, brand new. A 1TB Seagate Fire CUDA. This is a hybrid drive, $30, brand new. A brand new RTX 3050, $380 after tax, brand new. A Corsair CX430. This is a used power supply, and it was $10. And last but not least is the case. I'll show it to you guys in a second, but the case was $10 and it was pretty dirty. So this build is mostly brand new parts, but some parts are used. And the point of this is because you don't need all brand new parts when you're building a gaming PC. You can use some that are used, such as a CPU. Someone upgraded to a 5950X. I found it for $100. That's a pretty good deal for the CPU. And yeah, so let's go to the case and I'll show you how that looks. Alright, so as you can see, this is very dirty, but that's not a problem because it's just dust. And we can get dust very well with this. Alright, so we're just gonna clean this up. Look at that. We even got free cable management right here. Free zip ties, or twisty ties, I guess you can call them. Alright, so we're gonna go and clean this. As you can see, this works very well. As you can see, it's very dirty. This part isn't that bad, but you gotta get it all. Gotta make it nice and clean. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and use some Express Clean. This is car material stuff here. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Grab this and just clean this up. As you can see, it's doing a pretty good job. It's not bad. And I've already put the wires up. Alright, so as you can see, that looks way better. So we're just gonna go ahead and Express Clean the rest of this. Put all these wires in here. I'm gonna get the top. Same thing. Look at that. It looks new, basically. Alright, so as you can see, we cleaned it up. It looks very good. It actually almost looks brand new, honestly. So these are the panels. And we got pretty much everything out. So now we're just gonna go ahead and start building this. So we're gonna start unboxing stuff, and then we'll start with the motherboard, since that's the first thing that should go in there. I guess actually we should probably start with the power supply, since this has a power supply that mounts on top. It's a older style case. But yeah, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we'll do is the power supply. So I'm gonna stick it in like that, and like that. So now that we have all the wires ready, I'm gonna go ahead and put the screws right here. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do is just go ahead and get all these screws in here. Alright, so next we have this motherboard. It says Ryzen 3000 ready, so that's good. I was kind of worried. So here we have some SATA cables. IO shield will be first, and then we get the motherboard after. Alright, let's install the IO shield. That was very strong tape. There we go. Let me grind myself. Touch some metal. Micro ATX for only $60. First thing to do is drop a screw in there. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and look at the power supply cables here. I'm going to go ahead and grab the CPU 8-pin connector, which is this, and it says CPU right here. So I'm just going to plug that in. And next, we're going to go ahead and open this latch here, and we're going to insert the CPU. Now on the CPU, there should be a little triangle here. There it is. So that gold triangle. There should be another one here on the socket. Looks like it's right here. So
you're going to align those and basically drop the CPU into the socket. And then once it fits in, you just put the latch down, and there we go. Next, we have the stock cooler here. And as you can see, the thermal paste is already applied. So I'm going to use this like this and see how it performs. And then we're just going to remove these two brackets here so we can plug the CPU cooler in.
Alright, so now that we've got the CPU cooler in, we're going to go ahead and install the RAM. Let it click in. Next, we're going to install the NVMe SSD. It's right here. There's a screw included, which is nice. Alright, so to install the SSD, you just stick it in here like this. And then, of course, the screw. Just going to put it in there like that. Alright, so all these wires, they're basically like the front panel. So this is like the hard drive lights, power switch, and whatever. Now, if you look carefully, very carefully there, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. If you look carefully there, it says PLED, HDD, all that stuff. So basically, that's where all these wires are going to go. So, I'm just going to see which one's which. So the first one says, so that's HD light. Alright, so as you can see, we have all those wires hooked up there like that. And then these wires here are also going to go for the front panel. So this is the HD audio, and this is the USB. So for USB, we have one here. Just look for the one that is missing the pin. So it goes here. Separate this from the bottom. And then HD audio, again, just look for the one that's missing the pin. Goes down like this. And then, of course, I just connected this power adapter here. So we'll tuck these wires in later and tie them up. But for now, we're just going to leave everything like this and set everything up. So next, we're going to get our SATA cable from here and install the hard drive. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug this in. Now, I'm going to plug it in down here. And the reason that I'm plugging it in all the way at the bottom is because these two slots are going to be taken up by the graphics card. So it might be going over this. So this will allow the GPU to clear. So there's that. All right, now the star of the show, a 3050, literally costs almost half the whole computer. This is a brand new card. It's unfortunately the more expensive model that costs $329 plus tax and shipping. But my main concern with this is if it's gonna fit here or not. So let's see if it fits. That's some interesting packaging from UVGA. Look how they just wrapped it up. Ooh, that is a cute little GPU. Wow. I like it. Alright, so there we have it now. Is it gonna clear? Oh, yes. Perfect. It's gonna clear. Now, obviously, just don't forget to remove this. And always look for plastics. There's lots of, see, we have this here. We have this whole plastic here we need to remove. So let's go ahead and remove that plastic. There you have it. It's an RTX 3050. This is the overclocked model. This is my first time seeing one. Single 8-pin, which is exactly what we have. We're just gonna stuff it right here. All right, so installed perfectly. It clears everything right here. Let's get install this 8-pin. And there we go. That is a very cute graphics card. And as I was telling y'all earlier, see, only the bottom two SATA ports clear the GPU, so that was a perfect right there. All right, I'm just gonna start plugging stuff in, and hopefully we can start this up and test everything before we tie all the wires, just to make sure it actually works. All right, it's time for the first boot. Everything is assembled. Oh, there's a blue light there. I forgot about that. So I'm just gonna see if I can enter the setup. I'm just gonna smash F2 on the keyboard, see if this works. BIOS has been reset. Please reconfigure your BIOS. So let me see if the mouse reaches. Got my little RGB keyboard here to set this up for my friend, so. Oh, so this is how the BIOS looks like. CPU temperature is 34, which is good. RAM is 2672, which is about right, 16 gigabytes. So everything is being detected here. So what I want to do actually is, let's see, SanDisk, NVMe, Fast Boost disabled, CSM. So here's the thing. We don't want CSM support. We want full UEFI support. I'm gonna leave Secure Boot off until I've set everything up. I've never had a BIOS. Oh, so the BIOS is 2020. So we'll fix that later. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go into Windows and install it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and install Windows on the 256GB SSD. And then once this is done, we'll attach the SATA drive and then install drivers. All right, so Windows installed very fast. And as you can see, we have some drivers that we need to install. So I'm just gonna get out the laptop and just download all the drivers onto the USB. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and run some benchmarks here. And we're also gonna check power consumption. So, all right, so it looks like we're using about 200 to 210 watts right now. We'll see during the combined test how much higher this goes up, but this is not too bad.
Alright, looking at benchmarks, here we have Firestrike, and as you can see, this PC is the one that we built, and it performs pretty good. Compared to the Asus TUF laptop, the GPU actually performs better than the 1660 Ti in there, but the CPU, having 2 less cores, doesn't perform as well. I also added my Alienware with a 8-core i9 CPU, and my server, which has an 18-core and a Titan V, just for reference here. But overall, it performs pretty well. Looking at TimeSpy, the results are pretty much the same. I've again added the other computers here for reference to show you the different performance levels, but for 1080p, I expect this to be able to play pretty much any game, honestly. Next, looking at power draw, this is from the wall, so keeping in mind that the power supply is using less power than what the wall is telling us due to efficiency. Now, when running Cinebench single core, we're only using 68 watts, and this is for the whole computer. For multi-core, we're at 128, and again, this is for the whole computer. In Firestrike combined tests, we hit 216 watts peak, so this is about half of what the power supply is in there right now, and at TimeSpy, we got 208. So I have no doubt that the power supply should be perfectly fine for this computer. Finally, let's look at temperatures. Now, for single core, the CPU hit a peak of 71.8, and multi-core it hit 86.5. And these are a bit high, but if you think about it, it is running the AMD Wraith Stealth stock cooler, so it's not like a high-end cooling solution, and these are peak temperatures running on a benchmark. In Firestrike, the GPU temperatures are really good. I'd never even seen the GPU hit 70 ever, which is surprising. And the CPU didn't really go too high. It hit 81.3 in TimeSpy, and in Firestrike 73.8. Again, for a stock cooler, this isn't that bad. Let's take a look at Cinebench score and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider. 9,000 score. We're actually beating a first generation 8-core 1700X, so that's some pretty good multi-threaded performance. Let's try single threaded next. Alright, and as you can see, single core is pretty good. This is a 3rd generation Ryzen CPU, so it has decent IUPC. Alright, so Shadow of the Tomb Raider, as you can see, we're getting 93 average FPS at 1080p at the highest settings. Alright, there it is. We've got some USB ports there in the front. And then here's the computer case, fully assembled. And then of course, there's the back. Alright, so as you saw, we got the computer built and everything for $800, or should I say less than $800. The exact cost was $796.85, and unlike a lot of the people that build a computer for, let's say, $1,000 and then it turns out to be $1,042 plus tax. No, this was exactly a little bit under $800 after taxes. In California, taxes are almost 10%. But yeah, it doesn't look the prettiest, but it can game. It has a 3050 latest generation GPU, a 6-core Ryzen CPU, 16GB of RAM, an NVMe SSD, a terabyte hard drive. I think for the price, it wasn't that bad. So, gonna have to give it to my coworker now, since it's technically for him. With that said, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and get the desktop. Alright. So these are your boxes. That's the RTX 3050. That's the motherboard, and then that's the desktop. Hey, it's nice little